Hi, welcome to PHP and MySQL video. This is a list of suggestions how you should use this video. The notes for this video can be found here at this URL, which is loaded here. And we are working on the Kung Fu Panda Shop error message because we created an error just to show the error file works, and it has a very nice layout built in here. So let's fix the error so there's no error message. We go to our 9a database file and change our seafood to 88, which is the correct password. Control S to save, and then come over here, reload. Okay, let me go back first. Click on 9a database. Okay, this is a good example. For some strange reason, they still show the error message. Then come over here. Even I click on it, it still show the error message, which I fixed the password. And then I realized that if I open my exam control panel, the MySQL stopped. So start it again. Okay, make sure you start it. Then click on the database. And then we show successful in connecting to the database. So make sure your password is correct. And most importantly, make sure your MySQL database is running. All right, so this one does not need a database error. So since it's connected successfully, we can also comment out this. Control S to save. So reload. When you see the blank screen, that means connection is successful. Okay. So in the next step, we are going to display the index file to build an index file according to what we want. Okay, we are going to display Kung Fu Panda Shop, put all the categories on the left and all the products on the right. Okay, to do that, of course, we are not going to create everything from scratch. We have a file in our C10 myPHP eg009, which is called database error. We're going to copy this file and then change this file to make it index. Okay, copy this, right-click copy, right-click on the blank space and paste, and rename it, right-click, rename it to 9C index. Okay, so we have 9C index.php. Open this in Notepad++. All right, here we have a lot of files opened. So we have the database error, we have the 9C index, which is same as database error. We have main.css, and we have the connection to database. Okay, I'm going to just move around between the tabs. So look at the tab, which one I'm looking at. Okay, so go to your index. The first thing we want to do is our layout. We have our title, we have our header, we have main and our footer, but we don't really need this part because this is not the database error. So we are going to delete this by highlighting them. And then in the main.css, we have the left side, which is the aside, and the right side, which is section. So let's do that. So in the main, we are going to create a H1. Called product list. Control S to save. And now, instead of going to the database, we are going to come back, click on the back button, reload, and click on index. So this is what you see. Okay. Oh, before we even do anything, we need to connect to the database. require once eg009a underscore database PHP. So basically they will load the file once and move it there. Reload. Connection done. Now we go back to the layout. So on the left side, we are going to use the semantic tag aside, which is the main.css attached format to it. On the right side, we are going to do section, which is a semantic tag, and we attach meaning to it. And probably I should lay them out better. Tab. Control S to save. No change. And the next thing I want to do is I want to okay, so on the left side, what we want to do is to list the categories, okay, using a bullet point, all right? So as we can see in the categories, we have action figures, MP3 songs, and DVDs, okay? In order to do that, we want to create a UL, which is the unordered list. And in the main.css, they also specify layout for that. Okay. Under nav, UL, no bullets, all the good stuff. Oh, before I do UL, I need a nav. Okay. So, all right. Sorry, too fast. Aside. Categories. And then we need a navigation tab. Another semantic tag for layout. Inside navigation, we have UL. And then let's create a LI. Let's hardcode a LI. And just put a number 1 to it. You'll see a 1, okay? And then if you want this LI to link to something, if you want this 1 to link to something, you have to wrap a tag around it. And then inside the A tag, you have to create a hyperlink. And let's say you link it back to yourself. You just type nothing inside. Okay. Control S to save. Reload. You have a nice little link that does nothing. Okay. And then if you want a 2, just copy this. Control C, Control V, and write a 2. Right. This is a typical hard coding for categories. Hard code. But you don't like hard coding because the data has to be from a database. So you don't repeat the LI. Let me delete this. You want the LI to be generated by a for loop. Okay. And that for loop should be the list of categories. All right. And in order to do that, you have to print out all the category names. Okay, so let's start from categories where something. Okay. Sorry, so let's start from categories ordered by category ID. To do that, you need a good SQL statement. Okay. So let's just open any empty file that you can use. All right, I don't need this anymore. Let me delete this. You just need a file, any file that you can type an SQL statement. So let's say you have select. Let's write the SQL statement here. So let's start from categories, order by category ID, which is 1, 2, 3. Copy this SQL statement. You want to keep it somewhere just in case you make a mistake. You can come back to it. Copy this. Go to your PHP MyAdmin. Click on the SQL. Make sure you are under the Kung Fu Panda shop. Control V to paste. Go. You should have a correct SQL statement. So now I can make use of this SQL statement in my PHP file. So you have already copied this. So go back to your PHP file. Look at the output here. And we want to wrap something around here, but it's just difficult to do it here. So let's do it on top first, okay? So on top, before anything actually happens, we say create a query. Copy the SQL statement that we have just done. Control V to paste. And then we need to fetch everything. We create something like an array of associative arrays when you do this. When you fetch all. Very similar to what we did in example 8. And then we want to output it. Let's see what we have here. So you do a for each loop. And I'm going to use a different syntax just to mess up everybody. So this is a very interesting syntax. You are not using a curly brackets before and after. You are just use a for each and end for each. It's very similar to things you see in the older language like Pascal or something. Okay, it's pretty neat because PHP allow you to have different kind of syntax to run under the same environment, not like different ways of writing a for each loop. Mainly because it is open source language, I guess. Different people just come out with different syntax. So for each categories as category. So categories is the array of associative arrays we have here. And then category is the each row that we get. And then we want to echo a couple of things. The first thing we want to echo is the category ID. And the next thing is category name. Okay, and we loop through each row. Control S to save. Reload here. Oops, we have undefined array key on line 11, which is really interesting because I did not put in the column name. Okay, the associative array key value pair. I didn't key in the key. And what's the key? Category ID. And the second one is category name, of course. category ID and category name. Save your work. Something is not right. Okay. All right. Make sure that you get the syntax right. The reload. All right. So you key in the category ID here, category name here, category ID, category name, so on and so forth for 3 of them. Okay. But you put it on top. You don't want to put it on top. You want to put it here. Okay. So I'm going to comment this one out. You don't want to delete them because if you mess something up, you can come back and reuse the code. You have to comment it out though if you want to display it below. So here, instead of the hard coding link 1, we want to wrap a for each loop around it to output a category name here. So here, before the li, PHP, we need to insert PHP code. Let me copy the tag. After the li, you insert the PHP code. Okay, so before, you copy the for each loop, Control C to copy. After, you copy the end for each loop, Control C, Control V to copy. And then inside here, so now you have 3 ones. Reload, you have 3 ones because we hardcode the 1. Now you need to replace the 1, replace this with category name and replace and put in the category ID here. So let's replace the 1 with category name, Control C, Control V, Control S to save. And reload, you have action figures, MP3 songs, and DVD. Okay, but you also want to pass the information back to this file. The information you want to pass is the category ID. So you can do something like this. It's called a key value pair, passed by a get method. You pass the key value pair in the URL. So you can do something like this. Category ID equal to 1 or 2 or 3. If you do that, so I hardcode 1 here. Reload. If you do that, when you mouse over, you can see the URL below changes. So if you mouse over, you can see the URL is hardcoded to 1. So when you click on it, they will pass the file back to yourself and say category ID equal to 1. It's a post method. Basically, it's a post method. I'm sorry. Basically, it's a get method. Pass it by. It's like get hard coding. Pass it by a get method. Okay. So we don't like hard code. So we want the 1 to change according to what you click on. So the second one, MP3 song should be a 2, DVD should be a 3 because those are the category IDs. So in order to do that, you highlight the 1, replace it by a PHP and echo category ID here. Control V to save, Control V to paste, Control S to save. So now when you reload, when you mouse over, you can see at the bottom of the screen, the category ID equal to 1 or 2 or 3. And if you click on each one, 1, 2, and 3. So you're passing information back to yourself, back to the same file, okay, which is really cool. All right, so we finished this part, which is really neat. The next thing we want to do is on the right side here, we want to display the category name depending on what you click on. Okay, so in the section, we want to create a header. And this header, we are going to say call it category name, action figures, MP3 songs, or DVD. Control S to save, reload. So you should have a category name, but this is hard coding, is not good. This should change according to what you click. Okay. So in order to do that, we have to take here what we pass back to ourselves, the file itself, and then capture it. Okay, so here on top, before anything happens, we are going to say if the category ID is not set, I'm going to using get method to get the URL. Okay, so you say if we are going to create a variable called category ID. If that variable is not set, if that variable is not set, we are going to filter input using the get method because we are getting from a URL. And when we mouse over, we can see that we are passing the URL as category ID here. So that's the key. So we type in here. And then because it's 1, 2, 3, so it's an integer. Okay, and save into a variable called category ID. So it's on the same line. Same line. All right. But if you load it for the first time, let's say load it for the first time basically means that we go back to here and we click on index for the first time, there's nothing on it. So if you click on the first time, obviously the filter input will work. So if the category ID is equal to now, realize there are two equal signs because you are doing a comparison or assignment, or the category ID equal to false. That means somebody tried to pass some wrong information to you. You don't want to crash the program. You just say my category ID equal to 1. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Let's check. So let's echo category ID on top. So now when you reload and when you click on action figures, you get 1, MP3 song, you get 2, and 3 is DVD. And you can use this number to retrieve the category name from this table. And we need another SQL statement. And this time, we are quite confident that our SQL statement will be correct. So we are not going to write the SQL statement in the text file. We're just going to key in here because the statement is pretty simple. All right, comment out the category ID because it works. And now we are going to write another query. And this one is select star from categories table where the category ID equal to 1 or 2 or 3, okay? So let's say is, and we are pretty sure that we know how to bind values, so we are going to bind it to this thing, this spelling. And then we can even copy some of the statements here. We prepare the statement, and then we need a bind value. We bind this to the category, the ID that we get. So we bind the PHP variable to this and put into the SQL statement. Okay. And then we execute it. Control C, Control V. And then we have to fetch 1 because there's only 1 row. Okay, so you only need to fetch, you don't need to fetch all. So you copy this and save into something called save into something called category, which is another variable. And you only need to fetch 1 row. And then because this is just 1 row, you just get the field, which is category name. Save it into another variable, PHP variable called category name, equal to category name. Control C, Control V. And then don't forget to close cursor to release the memory. Control S to save. And then we want to see what if it's working. So I'm just going to echo category name here. Control S. So now when you reload, you have an error, 914. And of course, when you check 914, we realize that, hey, I forgot to put my single quote here. Okay, Control S to save. Try again. All right, so now you have DVD. So when you click on action figure, MP3 songs, DVD, depending on what you click, you pass back 1, 2, 3 back to the file, and then they run this, retrieve the category name from the database. Okay, but you shouldn't, you don't want to put it here. You want to put it here where the hardcode is here. So comment out the echo, Control S to save, and then go to the bottom where the hardcode is. Replace it with PHP, and then copy your echo category name. Control C, paste it there, Control V, reload. So now when you click on something, this will change according to your selection. Okay. All right, great. My video file is getting really big. Okay. And the next thing we need to do, obviously, is to put the products on the right side, but I don't want my video to get too big. So I'm going to pause the video here. I'll stop the video here, and then we are going to create a new video. So we'll come back really soon. Okay. Thanks for watching. See you soon.